Welcome to Pursuit 365's home and lifestyle show, your go-to destination for all things related to creating beautiful, harmonious, inspired homes and lifestyles. I'm your host, Cara Lawson, an award-winning self-serene interior designer, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey of exploration and inspiration. Today, we will be discussing retail design with Heddy Bing. Heddys is the founder of Urban Spaces Design Co. in Vancouver, specializing in commercial, retail store, and healthcare design. With over 30 years of experience, she provides clients with innovative solutions to enhance brand identity and attract target audiences. Heddys is an award-winning designer and certified true color expert with a rich background in retail display, merchandising, and special events. Her firm offers practical and content-rich workshops and visual presentation, merchandising skills aimed at helping clients to achieve their goals. Heddys' collaborative approach and commitment to solving problems ensures successful project outcomes. She frequently travels to stay updated on the latest design trends, using her extensive collection of images for inspiration and creating beautiful and functional interiors. Welcome, Heddy. It's a pleasure to have you here today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll just dive in. Tell us a bit about your background and how did you get into interior design, specifically in the retail?
hmm Okay. Some time ago, I met a wonderful woman, Dee Dee Mellon, and she owned a ton of gift stores. And my sister at the time, was a personal friend of hers, and her husband was also in the giftware industry. And so Dee Dee asked us to come and help do setups of their stores. And her father was a really famous LA window dresser, and I really consider her the start of all my mentoring. She just taught us so much about displays from inside and out, and we would work through the night resetting these stores, and it was just the best training ever. It was kind of a fluke. And then through that, we ended up doing gift show work, giving proposals. And all of a sudden, I mean, the company was growing and growing and growing. And my sister and I went two different ways. But now I was working across Canada at major trade shows and going to Europe and the States and places in Asia. And that was really the start of it. And then it just grew and grew. And I went from a proprietor to an incorporated company. And, and then so I was doing tons and tons of retail work, retail displays, window dressing, interiors. And then I thought, no, I can't continue to do this. I was tired of my big warehouse and all the cleanups that we were doing all the time. It was really taxing. And along the way, I back up here a bit, but along the way, my sister was taking this interior design course, and she said, I think you'd really like this. Why don't you do this? And so I thought, well, okay. So I signed up, and yeah, it was really great. And I started to get these retail design type work. It just kind of doors open for me. And then I thought, I need to sell my display part of my company. Um, in the meantime, I was teaching at CAP College at the time in the retail marketing program. And so I thought, okay, well, if I really want to transition, I just have to let part of this go. And I thought if I continue to get work, that's great. If not, I'm still okay. And sold it to a woman who was working for me at the time, and she still carried on. And here I am all these years later, and doors keep opening and new designs keep popping up, and educating other retailers and their staff is really exciting. So that's sort of the nutshell. I'm sort of here,
Yeah.
and
And
then
it's
doing what I do.
yeah, it's funny how, when you follow your path, doors do open.
Yeah,
I'm a strong believer of that. Like when you find what you want to do and what you're passionate about, it just organically happens.
yeah.
Uh,
I was thinking back right now as we're talking that years ago in grade 12, Woodward's was a really big department store at the time, and I got hired initially in their display department. I was 17 years old. I wasn't old enough to go into X-ray, which is what I first started doing at BCIT, and and so I was there for that big Christmas rush, but here I am back doing the same thing that I started out as, 17-year-old. Yeah.
That's so funny. Can you walk us through your creative process when designing a retail window display?
Yeah, I think it's really not a whole lot different than doing a residential or any project. Really, you have to consider the space. So you're talking about space planning. You're looking at the lighting that might be there. You're looking at the goods that the client wants to show, and do they have enough of that good? You obviously are looking at the space. Sometimes they have real window displays, spaces, but other times they're just open to the rest of the store and you're just looking in. So you have to decide, well, how can I create this space that people aren't going to destroy and yet gives good imagery from the outside, which is the ideal thing. So there's a whole lot of things. I think retailers should always be working with a merchandising calendar so that they can plan ahead at least 6 months. They know what their product is coming in and when it's supposed to arrive, so that you kind of get this heads up months in advance as to what you want to do. And then some retailers just let you wing it and just keep going because they've obviously developed a trust with you, but others want to see a plan or a planogram, and they want to see what you're going to do. And so it kind of develops from there. It's not just about the product, it's about who you're selling to. Much like if you were in a home, you have to know who your client is, who they're selling to. Is it a 30-year-old? Is it a retired? They all have a market, an ideal market that they want to appeal to. So the window dresser's job is to accommodate that, to make sure that the images that they're putting out are ideal for who they want as their customer. And so, we talk about, obviously the budgets are a big thing. How much budget do you have? What kind of props do you need to support this? What are their corporate colors? Do I need, I just knew that was going to happen.
It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry. Oh, I'm not even trying to get rid of her. Sorry, my daughter. Rid of my daughter.
Oh, that's what makes it real.
Sorry. Ah, hang on. Sorry. Susie, I have to call you back. A beautiful daughter. Ah.
Well, she took it well, right? Like she's like, okay, mom. So,
So
so
there's lots of things, really.
yeah. But so what would be kind of some key elements that would, make a window display successful? I know you talked about scheduling and that sort of thing, but actually physically making it successful. Like what is it, portion and scale and portion? Like what do you do?
You only have the time it takes to cross in front of a window or a trade show booth, or that's all you have. So it better be right. If it's
Yes.
less, it's probably like 7 seconds. It's hardly anything. So I would think a focus, making sure that you have a focus, lighting for sure.
Okay.
Uh, Movement is really important. Color is really important, and each time needs to look different from the one before. So, does that answer that? I'm not
Yes.
sure. You just
Great.
you don't get a
Yeah.
lot of time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
That is.
focus is really important, and for the client, for the owner, you have to be representing who they are.
Yes. Yeah. Good advice. Very good advice. And then, so how do you measure the success?
That's easy. It sells product.
Yeah.
Yeah, a window dresser probably charges about $100 to $150 an hour for their time. And so for that retailer who's paying their staff, minimum wage, $17, $20 an hour, it's like, holy cow, how come we have to pay this person that much money? But it's just, it only takes a couple garments, or a couple items, couple pieces of giftware, and that money's paid for. And then it's still up for another 2 weeks. So it's, and also I think owners just can't do this. They're
No.
too busy. It's why we hire experts. Like, I'm not an accountant, so I hire an accountant. We hire different people because we don't have those skills.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
Uh,
bottom line, product sells. Success. Yeah,
I like that.
yeah,
And so, can you share a challenging project you worked on and how you overcame the obstacle?
yeah. Some time ago, at a store in Park Royal, the owner of quite a large store was moving into the space side beside her, and we had all the plans from the landlord. We knew what we were dealing with, and I was actually working with another designer on this job, and we we're all set. Every plans are all approved by the district, and we go. They start opening on walls, and Lordy, there is a massive structural beam diagonally across the entire wall that we're now going into.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
oh yeah, and it was like, oh my gosh, and so we ended up redrawing a lot of the plans to try and make an opening of an attractive opening into that space. So we left the beam, and um, we had to reconfigure that entire area. The dressing rooms got moved to another space. The lighting all changed. There were a lot of things, but I don't think this is really, we made it quite successful. But I think that this is pretty normal. You open up a wall and there's something there, I or the other thing that happens is sometimes the owner changes their mind during the process.
Oh no, don't do that.
I know, don't do that. Yeah.
Don't do that. It
I know.
ruins the whole design.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, things or budgets changed, or like in the beam, we didn't have, I'm sure she didn't put aside enough money for a redesign of a part of an area. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, things happen. It's not unusual, and I think you just have to go with it.
You have to have bouncy knees. That's what I've
That's
always said.
like that. Yeah.
You have to know how to pivot and if it's not going to work, what do? You just kind of pivot to the next direction and offer a solution. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that's right.
um, okay. Can you talk about any current trends that you're seeing in retail display right now that you're
Yeah,
excited?
I think there is certainly a trend in people want flexible spaces, and they're like, you can't just go. People want an experience when they go in the store. They're buying the experience. You've got them in the store, and now they want that experience to continue. So I think if you go into the store and it's always exactly the same way, people are just going to be bored. So you need modular fixtures to move everywhere. And I think there's also a trend to like a boho, a sort of a boho industrial. People are really quite happy to mix things up. So I think that's really happening. And as far as mannequins, if we're talking fashion or even non-fashion, mannequins have changed from a simple bust form where when they didn't have they didn't have people who could actually dress a real mannequin. Then they went from the bust form, then they went to an abstract faced mannequin, and then they went to a much more realistic. So we're really in more realistic kind of time as far as mannequins. And the other thing that's really happening, I see it more and more, is people are starting to realize that that mannequin piece and their fixtures, for that matter, are now they have to represent who they are. So, for an example, there's a wonderful men's store in Saskatoon, and he has just bought these beautiful mannequins with cloth bodies and cloth faces for his high end men's store. And he's bought into this, needs to look like my heritage store. So we're giving him these beautiful linen bodied mannequins, and it is who he is. And another store on the island, she has just bought a bust form with an old-fashioned kind of dressmaker base. It has a movable head um, and wooden arms. So
Oh,
again, it's posable. So people are starting to really get it that you can you can have that mannequin actually look like your store. It's part of your whole branding message. And so that's kind of mannequins and fixtures. And the other thing that's super happening is biophilic design, and we have been hearing about it for at least 10 years. Biophilic means about everything to do with bringing the outdoors in. So that could be anything from live living walls to faux living walls to
yeah.
um, planks on the floor that have wood grain. People really feel good in nature. And
Yes.
seeing that in certainly residential, but in corporate and in retail. So I
Yeah,
think these are really big things that are happening.
we've done a lot of that in our commercial offices, the living walls and that sort of thing, and it does feel good. Yeah, 100%. But I have a question on your mannequins.
Oh,
So, are they faceless or do they have
they
faces?
have been. We've been through at least 10 years of a very faceless kind of mannequin. I call it abstract. But now we're moving into things that are different. We are seeing more realistic. We are seeing wigs again and stylable, or even if we're not seeing stylable wigs, we're seeing real face features, facial
Right.
features. So there's things to look at. It really depends on who you're selling to. You know,
Right.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
This is like, see, residential and commercial offices are a lot different than windows and that sort of thing. So I'm having an education day.
oh, good.
And how has the role of window display evolved with the rise of e-commerce and digital marketing?
Hmm. I, how is it? I still think people really want to touch and feel. Yes, I buy from Amazon. It's just quick and easy. But if I'm going out to buy a new coat or a centerpiece or whatever, I want to see it.
Yes.
And it's the retailer's job to figure out ways to get that person, to get the customer in. But
Yeah.
if I don't buy clothing online. I really think people do want to touch. And a really good example, if we go back to walking across the front of a window, like the job of a window dresser is to get people into the store. So if I walk by a window and I see a beautiful yellow sweater in the window, I I really want that sweater. I have no idea what it costs, what size it is, if they have any of it left. So we have to create desire. You know, my grandson, who's now, what is he? He's 11. But he took my husband took him to a motorcycle shop, and Ryder found this little toy motor. It was a snowmobile, little toy snowmobile, and he really wanted that. And he begged Bob to buy it, and it was like $20. And Bob said, "No, you don't need that." But Grandpa, I want it. And then he said, "I need it." So I think, in a nutshell, that's what we need to create. The need, the desire, you know.
And would you say that that's how you specifically evoke emotions and responses to the customer is by creating that want, or how would you answer that?
I think, your original question about, what was your original question here about? IT and buying online, that sort of thing. I
Oh, the
think
digital marketing. Yeah.
digital, yeah. We certainly retailers need to be incorporating digital imagery maybe in their windows or QR codes on their windows so that people, you see that item and you go to the QR code and there it is, you can see much more about it right then. I think movement digital imagery gives us, not just stagnant ones, but movable ones give us the opportunity to uh, it catches a customer. Anything to do with movement catches attention. So if you have a screen in your window that is a moving screen, you are stopped by that. So I think there's lots of things that we can do digitally, at the window dressing level to entice people to come in, or create photo ops for them. If, we've all seen these walls with giant wings and people stand in front of them as if they're angels, and so the retailer needs to keep doing those kinds of things. So did
Right.
that sort of answer it? I'm not sure.
You did. You did. Yeah.
It's a piece of it, and yeah, it's expensive. So,
Yeah.
people have to have things like that in their budget to do it. But
Yeah.
QR codes are easy.
Yes, absolutely. And they're cheap.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to aspiring interior designers interested in specializing in retail design?
Yeah. What would I give them? I,
Go to school.
um, I'd say go to the best schools you can find. There are several in Vancouver that you will find programs for interior design. And then probably try and find a company that is doing a lot of retail design and then see if they will hire you. I think retail design is totally different from residential design. Residential, you can call me on this, but residential is providing a lifestyle for a customer.
Yeah.
But the retail design is designed to sell a product.
Yeah.
If your space plan isn't right, or if your lighting isn't right, and if the experience inside isn't right, then you will not get the customer coming back.
It's like trying on bathing suits. Let's face it. Like, what's with the lighting in there? It's horrible. Nobody wants to take a bathing suit home. I
I
spent an
know,
hour
I
and a
know, and yet you
half
have to
there.
try it on, right?
Yeah, it shows everything.
Talking about that, I always in retail, I have a really good idea of how to do my lighting layout,
Yeah.
my reflective ceilings, but I always get it double checked by a lighting designer. And I use Martina Vanusova, and she used to be at Norburn. She's at a new company now, but she is just amazing. And I've used different people over the years, and they are the ones that are totally up to date on LED and dimming and light, light that looks like daylight that can be changed throughout the day, and like dressing room lights, like you say, like they're brutal if they have them,
They are.
and so I don't hire actually. They give most of these, well, not most, some of these companies give the service for free because they want to get the business back into their company. So
Yeah.
I specify lighting. I think you should edit what I'm saying here. They specify lighting, but it doesn't mean that the electrician won't go to his favorite guy to get it.
Right.
So that's the downfall of that. But lots of times they do go to the source and
Yeah.
purchase from them.
And
Or
also, it really, I always say, uh, I don't know everything, so I have to rely on other professionals. And we research, we work as a collaborative team to find the solutions and to make the best design. We're coming up with the concept and the vision, but really It takes a team to make that. You're only as good as your team. You really are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on lighting too, if you don't have the right lighting, you will not sell the product. I don't care what that product is. As soon as I was recently up in Quesnel doing some consulting for a business association and saw a number of retailers, and not one of them, sadly, had good lighting. Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
you
not
say that was
not
such
one.
a point.
It was dull and dark, whether you were a furniture store or a hardware store or whatever. It was all about just ambient light and overhead fluorescence. Some of them were really trying. Some of them really knew what their end goal was. They were really working on it, and I really admire that.
Mm.
But it's sort of like a lot of times retailers, they just go into it thinking, I want to sell stuff. I love this work. I'm going to go in here, and suddenly they've got a mishmash of mannequins and fixtures, and they're going into the lighting, and holy cow, they're just there, and they're trying to grow, but really they need to have a plan.
Yeah, focus.
They need to develop a plan, even if they can't do it all at once. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Your residential person might not be able to buy everything all at once, but if they have that plan to buy it, you know,
Yeah.
if,
Yeah.
or a corporate client, whatever, and I think
Yeah.
that matters to have the plan.
Okay, last question here. If you could design a window display for any store in the world, like any store, which one would it be and why?
Yeah, I really love anthropology stores. I love
Yeah.
their windows. I love what they do inside. I'm definitely older than their target market, which is probably like the 30 to 40-year-olds. But they have really what you see in the window also happens inside. They use recycled and upcycled materials. They use lots and lots of paper product in their windows. They have wonderful lighting and mannequins that are, if I remember, they're mostly bust forms, but like on stands. But I just really love what they're doing. They use biophilic design all the time, and the downfall of it is that their productions are massive. I can only imagine the cost of them, for someone to do installations, but still, I think they're really marvelous.
And the company obviously sees the benefit of what they need to do to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
If any of our viewers are looking for help with their retail spaces, how can they contact you, Hetty?
Yeah, they can find me through my website, which is urbanspaces.ca. They can definitely, I don't know if you have my phone numbers up there or not, but do I give my phone number?
Yeah, you can give your phone number. Of course you can.
Actually, it's Heady at urbanspaces.ca, and two D's in Heady. So Heady at urbanspaces.ca, or you can call me at 604 649 9050.
Sweet. Thank you, Hetty, for coming out today. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Pursuit 365 Home and Lifestyle Show. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation and found inspiration to create your own beautiful, harmonious, inspired living spaces and lifestyles. Remember to subscribe for more tips and join us next time for another enriching discussion. This is Cara Lawson signing off. Until next time, keep living beautifully.